Look, there's different types of number 10s. And this also is another discussion. Lorch can be a 10, but he can be a 10 that can be a 9 more than he can be an 8. Themba Zwane is a 10 that can be maybe a 9.5, not 9, and lead the lines and be the first to make runs behind. Lorch can do this. Lorch can be a 9 that in wydad in some games I made him the first runner to lead the line, maybe from a second position when he played sometimes with Mailula up front, and sometimes when he played with Obeng, he played a different number 10 as a second striker, but also with a lot more possibilities because of his mobility and his ability to find something with the technique in different corridors and the half space. Whereas Mshishi is more of a space navigator. So Mshishi is a different 10. He hangs in the pocket more. He's not as mobile as Lorch. Mshishi is a player that has the intelligence to find the space, to look for space, and once he finds the space, he has the patience to hang in the space and keep the position for as long as possible, up until you can reach him, and then try to develop the link-up play and advance the game to create possibilities to score and create. And you see many of the games, the AFL final, I think the second leg in Pretoria is a very good demonstration of this. And many games, even for Bafana in AFCON. I think one of the games was against Mali, where I was really impressed with his ability to be patient. I don't know if it's because of the age and the maturity, but he's got an incredible sense of timing for the movement, for the patience to stay in the space that he's first identified. And then he's willing to keep the position, and not many players, I think, have this. And so that's why I think a lot of people find Mshishi a very interesting 10, because he doesn't relinquish very fast the space if he doesn't get the ball in that space. He's patient enough to wait and understand that if the space opened up 2 or 3 seconds ago, the chances are if the ball makes 1 more or 2 more movements, maybe by the time it gets to a different recipient. Themba Mokwena is also very good at this, because we worked a lot on some of these schemes. He's able to find Mshishi in these areas. So maybe on the first pass, Mshishi is not able to get the ball, but he's patient enough to hang in the space. And on the second, third pass with the rotation, once it gets to Themba, for an example, they've made eye contact 2 or 3 phases before, and then he's able to get the ball on the back foot and accelerate the situation with a half turn and in that space. And I understand why people would think Sipho Mbule is a very good option for this, because he's got some of these qualities. Yet Sipho Mbule maybe is not as patient as Themba Zwane, and maybe Sipho Mbule doesn't even have the capacity to play more the game with his back towards it, and that's why I've always said that I think he's got far too many. Of course, I think because he's an incredible footballer, Sipho Mbule. And he's got a lot of very good qualities for a number 8 and for a number 10, but you lose a lot more of these qualities in the number 10 and number 8 of Sipho than you gain in the number 6 for Sipho Mbule. So I hear, and there are a lot of very genuine, fundamentally correct technical evaluations of what a number 10 does. And then it's also dependent on the coach and the style of play, for an example, because some people want to arrive to the number 10 a little bit faster and try to accelerate the game a little bit more. But for me, I would always advocate for 1,000 passes, for an example. And 1,000 passes sometimes means the people have to occupy the positions in relation not just to the space, but also in relation to the goal, in the relation to the ball, in relation to the opponents, in relation to their teammates. And then also the number 10 has to have a relationship with the referee, you know. And my players know what I mean when I say you've got to have a relationship with the referee as a number 10, because there's a lot of indicators for space by just understanding not just the referee, but also the assistant referees. And so these are things that Themba Zwane is so good at. Is so good at. But Lorch is good at these things too. But they have then fundamentally they have then different characteristics in their genetic makeup and their understanding of the game, because Lorch has a bit more of a left foot, right foot turn that's able to advance the play from a more of a wide perspective. You know, Lorch has this natural functions of a winger, whether inverting or from the left hand side, or whether staying on the line a little bit to then try to find possibilities behind, which earlier in his career he was incredibly good at when we had him at Pirates. And so when you take these type of qualities and you put them in the central areas of the pitch, he becomes very, very very dangerous and extremely useful for. But again, as I say, it depends on the coach, and also it depends on how you want to adapt your schemes based on the type of players that you have, you know. And in wydad I had a different number 10. I had in Algeria I have a different number 10. Zakaria Naiji is a 10, but is a 10 that a little bit also like Mshishi. He can stay in the pocket a little bit more, even though I think maybe doesn't have the patience of Mshishi, because some 10s die when they don't touch the ball a lot, and so then they vacate the space to come closer. And you find this with Sipho Mbule a lot also, that in the 10 when he doesn't touch the ball, he dies, and his influence and his confidence and his body language, you can see if for a long time he doesn't touch the ball, he doesn't feel like he's contributing to the performance of the team. So I like this type of and I know I go on and on about the tactical discussions, but I like these type of discussions a lot, because also they stimulate me to think about certain things and certain ways of football. But yeah, it depends. I think there's a lot of players that can play the 10 role, but it also depends, of course, as to what type of players you put them around. So Kabelo Dlamini is an incredible number 10 for me also as an option. And he does very, very well with a striker like Tshegofatso Mabasa, who's link up and who he can find with the pass in and around the box for the final. I think there's a goal that Pirates scored against Lupopo, actually. The Kabelo Dlamini's assist, if you look at that, I think Apollos scored the goal. I'm not so sure, but I think Apollos scored the goal, and that is the action of a number 10. In the qualities that Kabelo Dlamini can possess, you know, in that position. So there's a lot that you can discuss and talk about, and you have a lot of options. We are rich, fortunately, we are very rich with this type of technical qualities in South Africa, and I don't think we should be really worried about who should play in that position, although there are so many qualities that Themba Zwane possesses that make him elite, you know, one of the best in Africa. And of course, then you've got to respect that and understand that even though you might not replace him, but you can probably get a player to function as a number 10. But of course, then you've got to think about what type of striker you have, what type of offensive schemes you want to develop from him, and then what type of progressive measures you want to influence from a movement perspective fundamentally around the offensive phase of the game. So it's a very, very interesting discussion, actually. So, yeah.